The training hall of the Galactic Union Combat Academy smelled of ozone and alien sweat, a sharp, metallic tang that Evan had grown used to over the past 3 months. He stood near the back wall, arms crossed, watching as the newest batch of recruits filed in through the reinforced blast doors. Humans, Velthari, Keshari, Draconids. All shapes, all sizes, all here to earn the right to call themselves soldiers of the Union. Evan had already earned that right. He was an observer today, assigned by the Human Diplomatic Corps to monitor integration progress. He watched the recruits arrange themselves in rows across the polished floor, and he noticed her immediately. Zara. She was not tall, not imposing, not anything that the galaxy would look at twice. A human woman, compact and quiet, with dark eyes that moved the way a predator's eyes move, constantly, efficiently, without emotion. She wore the standard gray trainee uniform, same as everyone else, and yet she stood differently, like she was waiting, not standing. The doors at the far end of the hall opened with a hydraulic hiss, and Instructor Gradhek entered. Evan had heard the name before he'd ever seen the being. Every cadet talked about Gradhek in the kind of hushed tones usually reserved for natural disasters and ancient gods. A Velthari warrior from the Caesarian front, 3 meters of layered muscle beneath violet gray scales, with 4 arms, each capable of bending durasteel, and a combat record that spanned 40 years and 9 wars. He moved with the casual certainty of a being who had never, not once, considered the possibility of losing. He stopped in front of the assembled recruits and surveyed them with slow, reptilian contempt. "I am Instructor Gradhek," he said. His voice was like gravel being crushed. "Most of you will fail. Some of you will be injured. A few of you," his gaze dragged across the human row like a blade, "should not be here at all." He was looking at Zara when he said it. She looked back. No expression. Gradhek walked toward the human row slowly, and Evan felt the tension in the room thicken. The Velthari recruits exchanged glances. The Keshari shifted their weight. Everyone knew what was coming. Gradhek stopped directly in front of Zara. He looked down, a long way down, and let the silence do its work. "Human," he said. "Sir," she said. "You are 5'4". "You weigh, what, 60 kilograms?" 62, she said. "Sir." A slow smile moved across Gradhek's scaled face. 62 kilograms. He turned to address the wider room, spreading 2 of his arms wide in theatrical disbelief. "The Union sends me 62 kilograms and expects me to make a soldier." He let the laughter from the Velthari recruits breathe for a moment before cutting it off with a raised hand. "Tell me, little human, what exactly do you believe you offer this corps?" Zara's expression did not change. "A demonstration, sir. If you're willing." Gradhek turned back to her. Something shifted behind his golden eyes. Not worry, not yet. Curiosity, maybe. Or amusement. "By all means," he said, and stepped back, opening the floor between them. Evan uncrossed his arms. Gradhek rolled his neck, a sound like a door being ripped off its hinges, and settled into his stance. He kept all 4 arms loose, the posture of someone who doesn't expect to need them all. It was a deliberate insult, Evan knew. He'd seen it before. The instructor was going to let her come at him, absorb whatever she had, and walk away to make his point. Zara rolled her right shoulder once. That was all. She moved. To Evan, who had sparred with humans his entire life, it looked normal. Fast, yes. Controlled, absolutely. But normal. To the rest of the room, he could tell by the collective intake of breath, it looked like something else entirely. She crossed the distance between herself and the 3-meter Velthari warrior in under a second, planted her left foot, rotated from the hip, and drove her right fist into Gradhek's solar plexus with every kilogram of herself behind it. The sound was enormous. It was not the crack of a strike. It was the deep, resonant thud of force meeting mass, the sound a tree makes when something ancient hits it at the root. Gradhek's body registered the impact in a slow, terrible wave. His first pair of arms came down instinctively, reaching. His second pair never moved. His legs, those massive, column-like Velthari legs, buckled. He went down on one knee. The room went absolutely silent. Gradhek knelt on the training floor of the Galactic Union Combat Academy, one hand pressed to his midsection, breathing through his teeth. He stayed there for 3 full seconds, an eternity for a being with his recovery capacity, before he pushed himself back upright. He looked at Zara. She had already stepped back to a neutral stance. Waiting. Explain, Gradhek said. His voice was different now. Quieter. Human biomechanics, she said. We're inefficient, sir. We're not built for strength or speed on the Velthary scale. We know that. So we spend 100,000 years figuring out how to cheat. A pause. We call it technique. We route force through the kinetic chain. Ankle, knee, hip, core, shoulder, elbow, wrist, so that when the fist arrives, it isn't carrying the weight of one person. It's carrying the weight of every muscle in the body acting in sequence. You weren't hit by 62 kilograms, sir. Gradhek was very still. What was I hit by? The sum, she said simply. Evan allowed himself a small smile. He had seen this before, too. Not the punch specifically, but the moment. The moment when the galaxy remembered that humanity's greatest advantage had never been size, or lifespan, or natural armor, or psychic resonance, or any of the gifts that other species had been handed by evolution. Humanity's advantage was the thing they'd built in the dark, over millennia of being the small ones, the soft ones, the ones with no claws and no scales and no venom. They had learned to think about fighting the way engineers think about bridges. Every variable, every angle, every point of failure in the opponent's structure, cataloged, studied, optimized. Humans had broken down the act of violence into a science, and then refined that science across 1,000 disciplines: boxing, wrestling, judo, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, Krav Maga. Each one a different answer to the same question. How do we win against something bigger than us? The answer, always, was the same. Smarter. Gradhek turned to address the room. His voice carried no embarrassment. That was something Evan respected about Velthary warriors. They understood the lesson in the loss. This, he said, pointing at Zara, is why humans are dangerous. He walked slowly along the front of the room, his forearms folded behind him now. His tone completely changed from the performance of contempt it had carried before. Not because they are strong. They are not. Not because they are fast. They are not, by our standards. But they are the only species in the known galaxy that has had to survive as prey, and chose to become predators through will alone. He stopped. They did not wait for evolution. They did not wait for technology. They built it themselves, in their own bodies, through 10,000 years of chosen suffering. They call it training. He looked at Zara directly. What is your name, soldier? Zara, sir. Zara. He said it like he was filing it somewhere important. You will demonstrate that movement to the full cohort. Every species. Every size. You will break it down until the slowest cadet in this room can reproduce 30% of it. A pause. 30% of what you did to me will still put most opponents on the floor. Yes, sir. Gradhek looked across the assembled recruits. Velthary, Keshari, Draconid, human. And when he spoke again, the gravel was gone from his voice. What was there instead was something that sounded, improbably, like respect. The humans have a saying, he said. Evan, you're the observer. What is it? Evan pushed off the wall. Size is a target, he said. Skill is a weapon. Gradhek nodded, as if this confirmed something he had suspected for a long time. Begin, he said. And Zara turned to face the room. 62 kilograms of quiet, efficient, ancient human ingenuity, and began to teach. In the galaxy's long memory, no species had ever been underestimated more consistently than humanity. And no species had ever made the galaxy pay for that mistake more reliably. They were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were simply the ones who had never, not once, accepted that the difference between what they were and what they needed to be was anything other than a problem to be solved. The universe, eventually, learned to stop being surprised.